What's going on YouTube? It's Colossal Tugboat back with another Madden 21 rebuild. Today we are doing the hometown team, the Indianapolis Colts. Had several people from around here that I know personally ask to see the Colts. I was kind of wanting to put them off a little bit longer, but at the same time, recording this right after week 2 of the NFL season, and we've lost 3 pretty critical players for our team. Kind of works out. Might be an interesting time to see how the roster shuffles around with all the injuries, see about some certain decisions we need to make going forward. It's going to be pretty interesting, I think. I haven't done much with the Colts on this game. I have looked over the roster. For starters, I always play with the injuries off for these, so whenever I did that and readjusted the depth chart, Marlon Mack was back at the top. I moved him back down to the bottom, and I'll be sure that he doesn't play. Probably would have started Jonathan Taylor anyways, even if Marlon Mack was healthy. Just me, because I don't really plan on re-signing Marlon Mack. So go ahead and get him in there, get his development trait unlocked, get him as much experience in year 1 as possible, was kind of my thinking. I will need to move Paris Campbell down the depth chart, I guess. His isn't season ending. It's a pretty big injury, I guess, but it doesn't seem to be season ending. It was like a PCL strain to where Mack and Hooker both ruptured whatever their Achilles. We'll go ahead and move Campbell down the depth chart, which really sucks because I like him and I wanted him to develop this season. And we'll move him down at least until maybe the halfway point or something. I don't know. We can do whatever we want there. It doesn't matter. And then, of course, Malik Hooker, I will need to adjust as well. But back to the offense. Of course, the one of the 2 big free agent additions this year for the Colts, of course, Phillip Rivers. After our abysmal passing game the last half of last year, they decided to do something about it and bring in a 38-year-old quarterback that doesn't have much arm strength left. So the thing about Phillip is he takes chances, and through 2 weeks of the season, he's thrown 3 picks, 2 against Jacksonville, 1 against Minnesota. I argue the one against Minnesota wasn't his fault. It hit Mo Alley Cox right in the chest, and he just didn't catch it, and the linebacker was there to catch it for him. So that is what it is, but Phillip hasn't been taking any shots downfield. It's mostly been 5-6 yard cross routes or a dump off to a running back. I mean, he's 38. He is on a 1-year deal, so it might be in our interest to move off of him. And if we do, I'm not starting Jacoby Brissett. We're just going straight for the future. I'm going to start Jacob Eason. As a Colts fan, I wasn't super high on Phillip Rivers. I definitely thought it would be an upgrade over Brissett, and I still believe it is, but this is my team. So for my team, I like youth. I don't think a 1 or even a 2-year option for a 38-year-old quarterback is going to get the job done. I guess we can see how the first few games sim, and if we're just losing left and right, we're just going to go ahead and make the change there, because I think Jacob Eason is the quarterback of the future. I don't even really think we need to go deep into a draft. I mean, he's not a great overall, but the dude's got 93, 94 throw power, 93. The accuracy could use some work. 80 short's not terrible. I really just want to start him right now, if I'm being honest. I think I'm going to. So we'll move off of Phillip Rivers before we even get out of the offseason, I think. I'm just not a big fan. That's enough about that. Jonathan Taylor, of course, going to be running back going forward. This dude is an absolute beast. He's done very well the first 2 weeks. First week after Marlon Mack went down, didn't seem too much time while he was there, but after he went down, rushed for, I think it was like 60 yards, but also caught several passes. I was one of the few people that actually picked him up in fantasy football, and I did start him that week. So unfortunately, we lost Marlon, but it did work out for me. And he was an absolute workhorse last week too, with over 22 carries, over 100 yards, and a touchdown. Future is very bright for Jonathan Taylor going forward. Can't wait. We got Nyheim Hines behind him to kind of spell him on third downs. That's what they do in real life, not even just third downs. If it's a passing down, they like to throw Nyheim Hines out there as well. Taylor's done pretty well catching the ball in real life, but I think in this game it's just going to default to Nyheim Hines doing that, and that's fine. At the wide receiver position, we have T.Y. Hilton, superstar dev. He is 30. He is playing for a contract. He's not been doing very well in real life, having some very questionable drops. One practically wide open in the end zone last week against Minnesota. That's real life. In the game, I suspect he will be just fine. Honestly, a contract for T.Y. is going to be very dependent on how he does this year, on top of what kind of money he's wanting. If he wants too much money, I'm not going to give it to him. We got some decent options down here. We got Zach Pascal behind him, who is a just absolute beast every year. I don't really understand it. Pascal's good, but definitely he gets up to like superstar in 2 years in the slot. We got Campbell going forward, who's very young, very injured all the time, but I think will be a good option. And then we got our good outside threat with Michael Pittman. Part of the reason why I want Eason in there is because he can actually throw it downfield if Pittman can get some separation. Huge target. I think he's like 6'4" frame. Yeah, 6'4", 223. Could just go up and absolutely get the ball. Some of the best hands coming out of college, so he's always going to come down with it. And then, of course, we can build wide receivers through the draft. It's not that hard. Offensive line, best O-line in football for sure. I think with Dallas's retirements, we've kind of taken over. There's a couple that might go up against it, but nobody's got Big Q. That's all that matters. That's a difference maker. Anthony Costanzo, 32 years old, was contemplating retirement in the offseason, decided to come back, give it one more go. So we have a left tackle for 2 more years. He is 32, I believe that said. Yeah. So he is going to be regressing right after this season. We will probably see him into retirement, but we will keep Costanzo around as long as we can. Big Q is obviously going to be one of the few centerpieces of this entire rebuild. Outside of maybe Zach Martin, I can't think of a close second. Quentin Nelson's the best guard in football. Ryan Kelly just signed a big contract in real life. I wonder if it's in here yet. Making him the highest paid center in football history. There it is, 5 years. So he will be locked up our entire rebuild, which is very nice for us. Then we got right guard, would be our weakest position. Mark Lewinsky, super solid. Nothing to really write home about. He is 29, 28. We could keep him the whole 5 years. Is it likely? Probably not. You know, I'm not going to force him out by any means. Marky Mark will be pretty good. And then we got Braden Smith. So Braden Smith played guard in college at Auburn. So if worst comes to worst, if we get rid of Glowinski and we find a super stud right tackle, we can always move Braden Smith inside. We do have Danny Pinter here, who was a rookie that we drafted this year. And then at the tight end position, we got Jack Doyle, just the absolute epitome of a solid tight end. Not super athletic, not incredibly gifted, but just a hard-ass worker, man. This dude goes out, gives it 110 every single play. Got great catching, 88 catching, and I mean, in real life, this dude will run you the fuck over. I've watched him do it several times. That was my biggest beef the last 2 years with Eric Ebron. Is too much. Ebron would be looking to run out of bounds, be looking to avoid contact. Nah, Jack runs right through you. I love it. I love Jack Doyle. And then behind him, we have Trey Burton, who is yet to actually play a snap as a Colt. He is on IR for at least 1 or 2 more weeks. I'm not going to worry about taking him out of there. I think we'll be fine. So those will be our 2 tight ends with Mo Alley Cox backing them up. Had a great week last week. That is the offense. I will probably actually be trying to trade Malik Hooker. 82 overall, 24 years old. Star dev. I mean, dude's solid, but in real life, they're not going to re-sign him. It was very slim, it seemed like, that they were going to re-sign him before he ruptured his Achilles. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option, and he's just been injured his whole career. I think he's super talented. I would love for him to just, be super solid. I'd hate to see it be somewhere else, but at the same time, the best ability is availability, and this guy's never available. We're going to see what kind of compensation we can get out of trading him. Better to get something rather than nothing. That way we don't just let him walk. We have a solid replacement there. They drafted Julian Blackman in the 3rd round, I think. By the time the season rolled around, he was not on the PUP list or IR or anything like that, but he didn't play the first game. Had a pretty good game week 2 even before Malik went out, but he took over the starting duties after Malik left the field. Pretty good, only 22, 90 speed, 72 zone, 89 acceleration, 68 man. So got a lot of room for improvement, but he's not a bad player by any means. I think he'll be super solid. So we'll just go ahead and get him reps right away. Bobby Okereke is going to play our right outside linebacker, Anthony Walker in the middle, and Darius Leonard, the other cornerstone. Same draft as Quentin Nelson. The cornerstone on the defensive side of the ball right there, going to be locked up the entire time. He's not going anywhere whatsoever. Looking to keep that linebacking core together as long as possible. I think it's a pretty special linebacker. It doesn't really look like it on paper. They got great chemistry, really work well together. So I think that that's going to be something that we need to keep an eye on. Khari Willis is going to be our starting strong safety. Right now, he is the starting strong safety for the team, but whenever you load up Madden, Tavon Wilson is. In that case, again, same overall. I'd just rather go with youth, see what we got there, see if we can maybe pull a dev trade out of it, because at that point in someone's career, they're not really going to upgrade that much. So it'll be more beneficial going forward with the youth. At the cornerback position, we got Kenny Moore, Rock Yassin on the opposite side, which Kenny's going to be in the slot. And then they went out and got Xavier Rhodes, who has been an absolute trash can the past season or two. Once an All-Pro, now just not good at all. I think I saw him make one play so far the first 2 games of the season. Marvell Tell is on the team. However, he did opt out this season for the COVID-19. So I'm not going to worry that much about it. I'm just going to leave him there. On the defensive line, we got Justin Houston, hoping to make big things happen with him paired up right next to DeForest Buckner. That would, I think, so far in real life, it's been a good combination. Week 1, they didn't get too much pressure on the quarterback, but last week they ate. We'll have Justin Houston for at least a couple years, I think, until he really regresses or until he really prices us out. The big, of course, off-season addition, trading our first-round pick to pick up DeForest Buckner and pay him a load of money. He is 26. He is a superstar dev, 87 overall. I mean, he's one of the top defensive tackles in the game for sure. So I think every bit of worth his money. Hopefully, we see a little bit more out of him going forward. He had a pretty good week last week. Week 1, I was pretty disappointed. He had several tackles, but just didn't generate the kind of pressure that you would expect out of what we thought we would get. So we'll see how that goes, but Tyquan Lewis is going to be the other defensive tackle. Not a bad player, but we definitely need to build up depth on that defensive line. We have Sheldon Day, who's not bad, Grover Stewart. None of them are terrible players, but you've seen the luck we've had drafting defensive tackles in all these rebuilds. There's sure to be at least 1 or 2 we could pick up and be just fine. See if we can find just an absolute stud to pair next to DeForest Buckner and get this defensive line really rolling. And then at left end, we're starting Danico Autry, which I'm not a huge fan of. I don't think he's bad by any means, but if your edge rusher's Danico Autry, you're probably not generating that much pressure. That's all I'm going to say. Kamoko Toure is on the PUP list right now. I don't know how much of a difference he would really make if I moved him up, because then I would just move Danico. Let's try that. There we go. It gives us a little bit more of a balanced line. I just don't like my edge rusher being Danico Autry. So that's the team. The most important part of the team, which I actually did just gloss over, is, of course, our kicker, replacing the GOAT Adam Vinatieri. Won the kicking competition in the offseason. The undrafted free agent walk-on, Rodrigo Blankenship, otherwise known as Rex Specs or Goggles. Definitely the star of the team, will be here all 5 years. I mean, that kid's going to be kicking here for a lifetime if I'm in charge. So that is what it is. I'm going to see if I can get a trade or 2 going for Marlon Mack, Malik Hooker, and Phillip Rivers. And I'll get back with you with what I got. All right, so we send Marlon Mack and Malik Hooker to the Washington football team for their first-round pick. So that's what we get for those 2. We still got to move Phillip Rivers. And we are going to trade Phillip Rivers and Trey Burton to the Washington football team also. Pick up a nice edge rusher along the way with Montez Sweat. I believe he's star dev. Get Trey Burton out of here. I'm not a fan of him in real life anyways. So I don't want him here. I wouldn't bring him back going forward. Montez Sweat was a star dev, so he will slot in right there above Kamoko Toure. I mean, just freak athlete. 91 speed, 93 acceleration. So if we can get him cooking on this defensive line with Houston and Buckner and Autry, then I think some good things can happen. So I'm pretty excited going forward. We got our quarterback is Jacob Eason. We need to move around Paris Campbell. That's the last thing. And then we will get started on the season. So we got the team set up going forward. The Washington football team quietly turned into the Washington Colts after we traded them 4 of our players. Again, the fact of the matter was we aren't going to re-sign any of those guys. I just want to go ahead and whatever happens season 1, because I feel like it's going to be a crapshoot. Either in Sims, I've seen this team go all the way to the Super Bowl and win it year 1, or I've seen them be the #1 pick. So if it's going to be one of those where we're the #1 pick, we're just going to go ahead and go right in for it right now. No shame. That's fine. We're just going to give our young guys plenty of room to start out fresh. So let's get to the regular season, set our goal, and get on with it. We've been sitting here long enough. Season goal, we've got a fairly easy schedule, but we have a pretty young team. I'm going to set the season goal as make the playoffs. I mean, we can't get fired, so we're fine. We're going to set it as make the playoffs because I think we should be better than Jacksonville. I think we should be better than Houston. Tennessee scares me a little bit. Either this team's going to be pretty good or this team's going to really suck. Let's find out. Let's get to mid-season, see how things are going, see if we need to make any more changes. But I think with this roster, it's just so young and nobody else I really want to move that we're just going to stay put. So let's see how it goes. Coming out of week 7, which was our bye, we get a week 8 tilt against the Detroit Lions. We are 2-4. Jonathan Taylor apparently is very frustrated. Apparently we've totally cut him out of the game plan. It makes him think like he's not doing his job. I got no promises, dog. I can't control that. But if I were playing, I promise I'd get you in the game, bro. See if we could snap that. Justin Houston's pissed off about the losing streak. What position group do you think needs addressing? I'm just going to go out on a limb and say the secondary. Give them all some morale boost. They want us to get 3 interceptions against the Lions. That's big asking. So let's see at the halfway point how the team is doing. Jacob Eason looks like he was dead last, 31-32 in passing yards and touchdowns. We are at 1,200 yards. 4 touchdowns, 7 picks on the year. Not very good. Jonathan Taylor can't find any holes. He's only got 245 yards. Does have 4 touchdowns, though, on the year. Not very good out of the rushing attack. Receiving, T.Y.'s got 371 yards, 1 touchdown. Pascal, 276 with 1, and Doyle, 223 and 2. Pittman really not making any kind of a blip on the radar. Pretty interesting. We might need to change up the playbook and even the depth chart a little bit. Costanzo giving up a shitload of sacks through 6 games. Kari Willis is our leading tackler. Rock Yassin right behind him. Very good. TFLs. Okereke with 6 sacks. Darius Leonard has 5. I forgot to change that too. That might actually help out a lot. How it always defaults Darius Leonard as an edge rusher. DeForest Buckner with 3.5. Houston with 3, Sweat with 2, Autry 1.5. So we are getting some good sack production. Not too bad. We forced 4 interceptions, 2 from Kenny Moore, 1 from Kari Willis, 1 from Bobby Okereke. And on the season, we have forced 1 fumble by Xavier Rhodes. Very nice. We are 32nd in total offensive yards, but we are 3rd in defensive yards. So it's not even our defense is doing bad, just our offense can't score. So definitely need to make a change there. Let's take a look at where Darius is lining up again. I knew I was forgetting something. He's lining up as the rushing right end. So we will get that changed. We'll get either Justin Houston or Montez Sweat over there. It doesn't matter. We'll get that all fixed in the regular depth chart. All right, we got that all squared away. We got Montez Sweat and Justin Houston rushing the passer. We got Darius Leonard back at his actual linebacker position. I will say he was getting pretty good production out of it, but it's just not where I want him to be. We need to change the offensive playbook, and then we'll be good to go. By all means, we were still in line for the playoffs. Did not make it, though, and that's fine. We went 4-12, so that's dope. Tied for dead last with the Jaguars. The division was not good at all. Division winner was 8-8. So that's usually how the AFC South has been if we don't win. How did football team do? Let's check and see how football team ended up in the standings. They didn't do too bad. 7-9. Did we make the right decision? Probably not. But again, all those guys were going to be walking anyways. Check out the final stats on the year. Jacob Eason still finished bottom of the league in passing yards and touchdowns. 3,300 yards, 14 touchdowns is just not good. Sacked 32 times. Jonathan Taylor, 628 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns. T.Y. showed up, 80 catches, almost 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns. Pascal, 66 for 758 and 3. Jack Doyle, 6 touchdowns. Pittman did all right. Outside of that, just nothing. Braden Smith and Anthony Costanzo giving up a lot of sacks. Kari Willis finished with 120 tackles. Kenny Moore, 110. And Rock Yassin right behind them. Very good year from our secondary as far as getting tackles. DeForest Buckner had 12 TFLs. Okereke, 11. Sacks. Montez Sweat, there we go. 7.5 sacks paired up with Justin Houston, 7.5. 6.5 from DeForest Buckner, and 5.5 from Darius Leonard. I mean, this defense, man, that defense ate. Just the offense could not get anything going. Kenny Moore still had 2 picks, Kari 2, Xavier Rhodes 2, Okereke and Yassine with 1 apiece. Yearly awards, not really expecting to see that much off of our team. Cam Newton wins the MVP per usual for some reason. In the AFC, he wins the Offensive Player of the Year as well. Defensive Player of the Year went to Myles Garrett. Eason came in 4th, even though he was absolutely pathetic. Wow. And Taylor came in 6th. Julian Blackmon came in 9th and Defensive Rookie of the Year. That's how you get your ass kicked in year 1 with the Indianapolis Colts. Offense just couldn't move the ball. I actually want to see really quick. Didn't see the final numbers. I know our offense was 32nd, so dead last. And defense came back to earth and was 25th after being 3rd at one point in the midway season. So the whole team just kind of fell apart, I guess. Defense gave up on the offense after just getting absolutely killed. Let's take a look at our contracts, as the Kansas City Chiefs did beat the Green Bay Packers in the Super Bowl. T.Y. Hilton played pretty well. He does have the superstar dev 3-year deal. We're not paying a quarterback for the entirety of this rebuild. I can already foresee that. I want to keep T.Y. for sure. See if he takes his offer. All right, he's not interested in signing. Zach Pascal, with T.Y. leaving, we definitely want to keep him. So he's back. Anthony Walker, again, I want to keep those linebackers together. They did pretty well. Xavier Rhodes, no thank you. TJ Carey, no thank you. So we're going to need a lot of corner depth. Jacoby Brissett, again, no thank you. Mo Alley Cox, we will bring him back. We do not have a backup tight end. We will keep him. So we're going to let all those guys walk and see what free agency has in store for us. We do have $77 million. Desmond King's right there would be a nice corner for us. We could bring Yannick Ngakoue back into the AFC South. I'm going to take a look at all these free agents, and I'll get back with you to see what we come out with. Week 1 of free agency, we're going to go ahead and throw offers to Desmond King. Again, we're going to want to move him to corner, in my opinion. We got Kari Willis, who's just fine there at strong safety, getting a ton of tackles. So I am okay with leaving him there, but Desmond King is definitely a better corner, in my opinion, than safety. So we'll be moving him there if we get him. And then we're going to go after Yannick Ngakoue to try and help fill the hole left by Justin Houston. I might bump up the offer just a little bit because I really want him. And then Sheldon Rankins to help fill in the defensive tackle. I think a 1-2 punch with Buckner and Rankins would be really freaking good. And then for corner depth, Charvarius Ward. And then for the rest of that, we could look towards the draft, I think, or see who's there in a week or two. This is going to be the main people we go after in week 1 for sure. Accepted. And we still got one out on the table. So we got Ward, we got King, we got Ngakoue. Very, very nice pickups. We do still have $40 million left. I'm not about to just go and blow it all. Let's see if we can make Andrew Billings an offer that he can't refuse. I just don't want to pay that much for Sheldon Rankins. I want to save some of the money. He did like it, so he will be here next season. What are your thoughts on Quentin Nelson? Yeah, that's it. Just yes. Definitely pick up his 5th-year option. I think the free agents that we picked up will be very good for us and will definitely help the team. But we got to keep an eye on that reserve money we got going forward. So that being said, we are done in free agency this year. Came up with a nice haul, if I do say so myself. I'm just going to get into the draft first. Let's get into it. See if we can get some good players. So we're going to go ahead. There's not a incredible quarterback there that I would just drool over to take number 1. The highest is a 2nd round value. The best player that I could see is an edge rusher, and we don't need that. So we're going to take this offer from the Jets right here, get both of their firsts and their first next year. I think that's huge value. I can't pass that up one bit. It's just not in my nature. Let's see who they take. That's the most New York Jets pick I've ever seen in my life. Trade 2 first-round picks, your own, and then the one that you got for trading one of the top safeties in the league, to trade up to number 1, and you take an absolutely average right tackle. Oh, I'm so glad that just happened. That made my day. That made my day right there. Draft recap following the draft in year number 1. First pick that we took, we had the number 1 overall pick. We traded back the number 1 overall pick to the New York Jets. They gave us their 7 and 9 right there in round number 1. We took what I thought was going to be probably one of the craziest players in the draft, who turned out to be not a bad player, but nothing special. Just going to be depth for us, but this draft sucked. There was not much in it. No quarterbacks, no nothing. That even really made it worth having the first overall pick. We took Isaiah Rich, 75 overall wide receiver. Not a bad player by any means. The player we did want was right here. Went just a few picks before. Kerry Palmer, probably an X Factor. Dude looked super good. Of course, he goes into our division. We didn't get him. Took a left tackle looking for Anthony Costanzo's future replacement. He does have one more year left on his contract, and then I think he's going to be gone if he plays the way that he did last season, because he played like booty. Maybe we can get this 71 overall left tackle up to par sooner rather than later. Reggie Johnson, defensive tackle, we took with our first pick in the second round. So we had 3 first-round picks. Turned out pretty nice. Reggie Johnson, 70 overall. We took a quarterback because he had second-round grade on him, and I said if he slips to the third, I'm going to take him. He was there at the third. Wearing Andrew Luck's number, so probably not a very good sign for things to come for him. He does have 90 throw power, 78 deep, 81 mediums, 83 short, so 80 speed. I think he's a higher overall than Jacob Eason, so we might give him a go. And then, of course, the cornerback we took in the 4th round was projected 6th round, but had a 4th round grade on him. Had pretty good top skills. I figured we'd take a flyer on him. The man coverage is not very good. The zone coverage isn't either. I mean, he's a pretty average overall, but he does have a hidden dev, so I'd be interested to see what that is. I can't see it being more than a star. If they gave superstar to a player that low, that'd be pretty impressive. And then we traded away our 5th round pick, and coming from the Chris Ballard School of Knowledge there, that we got a 4th next year. There was just nobody there. We'd just be throwing darts at a dartboard. I'd rather just get as many picks as I can for the next draft and be able to hope that that one's a better draft. 66 overall wide receiver, nothing special, and then took a tight end, Ted Andrews, with the last pick that we had, 64 overalls. Given what we had to work with, not a bad draft. The draft itself was not good. Just not very many good players. That wide receiver that we saw go to Jacksonville was one of the best players, if not the best player in the draft. I hope you enjoyed this video. Not the result we expected after year 1, but hey, we can only go up from here. We got a young roster, plenty of opportunities to get better. Can kind of tweak around with maybe the scheme or something. I just didn't think that team should have been that bad. Offensively, year 1. Defensively, they weren't too bad. I think with the pieces we brought in, we should be able to compete this year. I'm probably going to be way off, and we're probably going to suck. We've been spoiled with 2 pretty good rebuilds in a row, with the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl and the Jaguars winning the Super Bowl right at the end. So maybe this is going to follow the theme of the Jaguars. Get the 1st overall pick, build the roster all the way up, and maybe year 4 or 5, pull out a Super Bowl victory. Again, thank you for checking out the video. Appreciate all the support we've been getting, all the feedback. I've had a lot more people reach out to me, say that they like this, they really enjoy this. I have people who don't even play Madden or really even watch football who are actually enjoying these. I've started a new job recently. I'm working from home now. I'll be honest, it's been a few days since I've recorded, so I'm trying to get back into it. Definitely going to keep the videos coming. Keep an eye out for new content. There's going to be more Among Us videos. I'm looking into starting a 2K series. I do have NBA 2K. Same kind of thing, just doing like rebuilds like this, but obviously 2K. I think that'd be a pretty fun game to do the same kind of thing for. Just bring some more variety besides just Madden. Appreciate all the support. If you haven't already, please give the video a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, all that fun stuff. We're usually posting videos 2 to 3 times a week, at least 2, usually 3 times. Drop a like on all the socials, drop a follow, whatever it might be. Much appreciated. Of course, as always, part of the Raise Rebellion. Huge shout out there. Of course, if you want to check any of those out, be sure to use my code Colossal Tugboat at checkout on raisenergy.com. So any questions about that, direct my way. I'd be happy to help you out. Besides that, I'll see you next time, all right? Peace.